Hey there, I am back with another deck review, and today we're going to be looking at 007 from Theory 11. Theory 11's no stranger to partnerships in creating their decks. In the past, they've partnered with a wide variety of sources, places like Tavern on the Green, Charity Water, The Ellen Show, Jimmy Fallon, tons of partnerships you can find across their line. But most recently, they've really been amping up some of their licensing efforts. You may remember the Star Wars decks that they did recently. I've looked at those on the channel, and now they're going after another legend of the silver screen in James Bond. James Bond, otherwise known as Agent 007, is of course the legendary Secret Service agent of the British MI6. He was created by Ian Fleming in a series of novels back in the 1950s, but really rose to prominence as he was featured in countless films across the decades. Everything from GoldenEye to Die Another Day, Skyfall, Tomorrow Never Dies. There are tons of classic movies where you can see not just James Bond, but the Bond girls, the Bond villains, the gadgets. There's so much to love about James Bond and his character over the years. And so really excited to see how he's captured in this deck of cards. So let's jump right into it. All right, starting with the tuck case. This is always a highlight of any Theory 11 deck. And I'll say right off the bat, this one is no exception. Now, nominally, it's on a black matte cardstock with gold foil and embossing, but in reality, it's so much gold foil that it's almost like it's a gold foil tuck case with some black detailing. There's just that much gold foil. Tons of detail going on in the design here. The big central emblem, where your eyes immediately drawn first, features one of the classics from the James Bond intro scenes. It's this view looking down the gun barrel of an assassin. So you're looking first person point of view from an assassin as he looks down the barrel of his gun, aims it at James Bond, who's walking across the screen, and then he stops, turns, and shoots the assassin just before he's killed. And so you've got that view with the rifling of the gun there. 007 logo in the center, complete with his classic Walther PPK. Theory 11 emblems on either side, and just really ornate foil work on this one. I particularly like this extra embossing in the middle of this flat gold section here. Just nice little touches of detail that elevate this tuck case that much more. Now, there's a couple of different colors of gold foil on here. You'll see both a lighter color and then maybe a little bit oranger color, if you will. But surrounding that are tons of details. You have these branches here, little diamonds, banners across that read James Bond and playing cards. You've got the 4 pips in the corners, and then every other inch is covered with vine work, extra detailing that just continue to elevate this case more and more. And turning to the sides, on one side you've got Orbis non sufficit. That's Latin for the world is not enough, and is the motto for the Bond family. So nice to see that featured on one side. On the other, it just says James Bond 007 Theory 11. The bottom has your ad copy for Theory 11 and Eon Productions. And on the top, can't read the whole thing because it's covered up by the tuck seal, but it gives Bond's classic line on how he introduces himself. What's your name? Bond, James Bond. Now the back here is going to be a foiled and embossed version of the back of the cards. Love the glow on this one. We'll look at some of the details in a second, but I'll give you just a second here to appreciate that beautiful gold foiling. Finished out with a relatively simple red tuck seal. Just has the 007 logo in the center, and then Theory 11 banners. Inner flap features more gold foil detailing and another repeat of that motto, Orbis non sufficit. And then 007 logos on the inner flaps in gold foil. A little bit disappointingly, nothing printed on the interior of this tuck case. A lot of Theory 11 tucks do feature inner foil printing, but this one does not. All in all though, beautifully done tuck case. Definitely one of their more ornate ones. And for Theory 11, that's really saying something. They always do fantastic tuck cases, and this one just seems to take it to another level. All right, but that's the tuck case. Let's see if the cards live up. We'll start with the back design. Here it is. And I gotta say, after looking at that same design on the tuck case, the back falls a little bit flat. It's more of a monochrome feel to it. You don't get that two-tone that you got with the back design when you saw it on the tuck case. So it definitely feels a little bit flatter, but there are still a lot of ornate details going on. Now the overall shape of it mimics the Union Jack. You can see those crossing lines like you'd see on the flag of England. So a little bit of a nod to the Union Jack there and James Bond's home country. You have the Bond family seal featured here. Reads Secret Service across the top, and the family motto again, Orbis non sufficit, the world is not enough. And so there's the Bond family seal reflected on the other side. You got James Bond 007 written in the center. And then you get these little emblems around the edge that feature kind of icons that maybe call to mind aspects of the movie. You get a diamond, a shaken not stirred martini, a James Bond watch. She's famous for wearing really high-end watches within the movie, and then a crown representing the crown that he serves. One more look up here of the intelligence agency's kind of seal up here with the crown in the center. And then the rest of it is just filled in with scroll work, patterning that just gives this one a really ornate feel all the way around. Nice ornate border around the edge, thin white poker border finishes it out. So nicely done on the back design, although I will say, without a little bit more color and contrast on this one, it falls a little bit flat, to be honest. I wish it hadn't been monochrome for as much work went into the artwork. I think it really would have benefited even just from a second color contrast in there. All right, that's the back design. Now, extra cards you get a pair of identical Jokers. They both feature that gun barrel kind of circle there in the center, 007 banner in the middle, and then little icons for the 4 pips, and then that shaken not stirred martini in the center. More branches framing it up and giving it that really ornate look. Now I will say this, along with the backs, they almost look like they're metallic inks, but I don't think that they are. And I think that was a little bit of a letdown too. I wish it had been true metallic inks, but I don't see that kind of gleam that you would get from a really vibrant, shiny metallic ink. So that was a little bit of a disappointment. But just says Joker in the corner, and like I said before, the other one is a duplicate. I tend to like duplicate Jokers for nice functional uses. All right, there's your Jokers. You also get a pair of ad cards. Disappointed that Theory 11 went with 2 ad cards. They do that sometimes in their decks. I wish they'd included like a gaff card and 1 ad card maybe, but you get 2 similar looking ad cards. They both feature that black and white kind of circular ornate design. One of them with the 007 logo in the center, and the other with some copy for Theory 11. And they're just the same on both sides. So there's your 2 ad cards. Now into the deck. All right, starting with the Ace of Spades, definitely the power ace, and it's done on that pseudo metallic ink, big, gigantic spade pip in the center, features the gun barrel in the middle, 007 logo, little diamond at the top, Theory 11 and James Bond emblems, and then big, bold Ace of Spades banner, along with the family motto, Orbis non sufficit underneath. I love the shape of this spade. I love how gigantic it is. I think they did a really nice job with the Ace of Spades. Maybe my favorite card overall in the deck. And the other 3 aces, while not as ornate, do feature some extra detailing. You get the larger than average pip in the center, and then kind of a surrounding image that evokes part of the movie. So like in the Ace of Diamonds, for example, you have a watch face there. James Bond known for the watches he wears. Earlier movies, they were usually Rolexes. More recent movies, Omega watches, but always super high-end watches that he wears. Ace of Clubs features kind of a gun scope there around the large club pip. And the Ace of Hearts goes back to that barrel scene. So you've got the rifling of the barrel there. Nice, slightly custom, but very familiar pip and index in the corner. And you'll see here that red is a little bit brighter, almost pinker of a red. It's definitely not pink, but has a little bit brighter look compared to the more crimson that you'll find on a regular deck of cards. So there's your 4 aces. The number cards don't do much special. Fairly standard pips in the corner. Yes, you'll see some slight shape differences. Fairly standard font in the corner. Yes, it's a slightly custom font, but Other than them being very slightly custom and smaller pips, which gives it a little bit of elegance, these are all pretty standard number cards all the way through. So there's not too much special to say about these. Same layout as always, but not much done with the number cards. Keeps them functional, that is for sure, but doesn't really add to the artistry of the deck in my opinion. So that's the number cards. Now let's get to the courts. Now, knowing this is a James Bond deck, you know, I was excited to see if maybe they would go with full custom courts, feature some of those characters, but Theory 11 instead decided to go with modified standard courts, and you'll see those here. And so each one of them is definitely completely recolored and redrawn. The faces you'll see have a more modern, much cleaner look. They're very skillfully redrawn faces, but they are the faces of your classic bicycle courts. And even the clothing, reminiscent for sure. I think I like the color scheme that's done on this one, that kind of pinkish red color almost, or orangish red. The gold highlights along with the black I think really does nicely, and you'll see underneath that classic royalty robe he does have the shirt and tie, so kind of evoking the class that you'd see with a James Bond character. And they all feature this nice golden border around the edge. So very clean, well done, but fairly standard courts. And all of them in the one James Bond-esque touch, each of them's holding some kind of weapon or icon from the different movies. So for example, here in the Jack of Spades, you'll see him holding the pen grenade from GoldenEye. You got a throwing star here on the Queen of Spades in her hand. And the King of Spades, this one's holding a Walther LP53, that kind of long-barreled gun. Now, interestingly, this is a gun that you'll see often like on the movie posters. You'll see these classic looks of James Bond holding this long-barreled gun here. He actually never used this gun in any of the movies. As the story goes, they were doing a photo shoot for one of the movies, and the Walther PPK that he would traditionally hold wasn't available. And so one of the crew that was there for the photo shoot offered his own personal gun and said, hey, use this one instead. Posed, and that gun became legendary, used on a lot of the posters, even though it was never actually used in the movies. You know, interesting fun fact there. Going to the diamonds, get more of those classic gadgetry. You've got a spear gun here. The spear gun was used originally in Thunderball, but appeared in a number of movies, including Tomorrow Never Dies. Queen of Diamonds, this is the James Bond classic right here. She's got the Walther PPK. This is the gun that James Bond has in pretty much all of his movies. It was originally actually a Beretta 418 and then switched to the PPK later after a gun enthusiast wrote to the producers and said, hey, don't like the gun you use, switch to something else. All right, there's another Walther PPK in the King of Diamonds hands. The Jack of Clubs here has this rifle. I'm not 100% sure what this one is. This is not a rifle. This is, I think, a submachine gun. I believe this is the UMP9 that was used in Casino Royale, but I'm not sure about that one. So I'm sure somebody will correct me down in the comments if I'm off on that one. Queen of Clubs, this is the knife that Jinx used from Die Another Day. And then the King of Clubs has another classic bizarre gadget from James Bond. This is the ski pole gun that was used in The Spy That Loved Me, or The Spy Who Loved Me. Jack of Hearts, another Walther PPK. Queen of Hearts goes back to that Walther LP53, and PPK on the King of Hearts as well. So there are the courts. I think they're well done courts, but I think as the theme goes, definitely a miss here. There was such an opportunity with the iconic class of characters throughout the movies to really amp up the faces on these and not go with more standard courts. You know, why not go with James Bond actors as the kings? You know, why not have a Sean Connery and a Daniel Craig and a Roger Moore king cards? Why not go with the Bond girls as the queen cards? You know, you've got so many to pick from, whether it's Octopussy, Domino Derval, Mary Goodnight, so many classic Bond girls. And then for the Jacks, why not go after some of those famous villains? The Bond villains are legendary. Thinking through Jaws, Goldfinger, Oddjob, you know, I think that a lot more could have been done to amp up those faces and really play up to that James Bond theme more. So definitely think there was a missed opportunity on the courts. And that's really how I'd sum up the cards themselves. Beautifully done on their own, but when I think about the catalog of material they could have gone with. There's a lot of missed opportunity. Certainly more color could have been added to the back design to make that pop a little bit more, but I think that doing what they did and basically taking a Walther PPK and putting it into the hand of half of the court cards feels like a bare minimum effort to giving James Bond customization to the court cards, and I think that's a shame. So really, I think that's where the biggest missed opportunity was. Now that said, as far as handling, these handle quite well. They're printed by USPCC, and aside from slight registration issues that you'll get on these, they still handle very well. Fans beautifully, just really great handling decks. I have no complaints at all about that front. But for me, this deck overall, I think it's one that you'll want to break out and use for gameplay, especially for a Bond fan. You'll still find some fun on this one, even though it could have been customized more. So great deck for gameplay above all else. These are always great for collectors who want a nice tuck case on the shelf as well. So that's it. That is a look at 007 from Theory 11. Hope you enjoyed this look. Hey, make sure to subscribe for more deck reviews and unboxings, and let me know what else you want to see. All right, thanks, and I'll see you for the next one.